You are watching a master at work.
Yes, sir. I got a good one today. I got my people today. I got two guests with me that I have high respect for. You know, I don't know them for a long time, but I know enough to know that it's good energy every time I see them. And they have a certain bond and commitment that they made that, you know, as I get older and as I continue to grow and wake up, I want to receive that. They took on a challenge that hopefully, inshallah, before my eyes fully close, I can experience that and live through that and guide myself through that, because there's so many blessings in that. It's so many blessings when you not only taking accountable for yourself, when you're not only being patient with yourself, when you're not taking time to learn about yourself, but when you learn about somebody else. These two people I have today, they took that time to do that. So when I seen that they took their time to do that, I really received that they have wisdom, they have insight, they have understanding that they can not only share with each other, they can share with me and my people.
Perfect.
So thank you so much for coming here. Thank you so much for being vulnerable, because I really want to get to the point where I can have a wife, getting married. I get so many blessings, and I would get so much elevation if I ever take that step to get married. And I want to do that, but I know myself, and I know it's hard. It's hard for me to fully invest and trust and, you know, just throw all my cards into one person. Because if I do that, if I really, you know, decide to take a woman into my life and, you know, we sharing this bond and we growing together, I'm not doing nothing else.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fully invested, I'm locked in, this is what it is.
That's what it's supposed to be.
And that's a major commitment.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
probably your most serious commitment you'll ever make in your life.
Mm-hmm.
People say, oh, buying a house. No, getting married.
Yeah.
Because you're giving yourself up to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And they're giving themselves back to you. That's why God said the two become one. Y'all both get lost in each other. They become one entity. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's hard. It's not easy. Even to get to the point of taking a step.
Yeah.
Because I ain't gonna front. I was one who was like, I don't know, married. I can't see that. Because I always considered how serious it was.
Yeah.
I had homeboys that got married back when before I did the bid, and I would just be watching them. And I'm like, how you do that when you're married? And I was a serial cheater. So I was like, but I'm like, I'm not married to nobody.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, you got a girl. I said, all right, I don't take that as serious as a marriage, because it's not. Because maybe it's supposed to lead up to, you know, if you're going about a relationship in the right way, if you're walking in God's grace and His will, yes, that is supposed to lead to marriage. But that's not what I was doing. Marriage was the furthest thing from my mind. But I'm looking at them and I'm like, yo, you're married. I'm checking them like, yo, you're not supposed to be doing that. They're like, man, listen. I'm like, nah. Marriage is different. That's a different thing that you playing that. But to me, you're playing with your life though. It's like, no. And that was back when. So I was like, I couldn't see getting married. I didn't even know what that was about. Could not believe that I would be a married man ever.
And it's funny because he's right. Because that's how we grow up, right? You're going to be trapped. She going to take all your money. You throwing away everything you can, you know, possibly tap into. So what made you, Bob, to be like, you know what? Even though I thought like that, but I got to switch it up. I need to lock in with this sister. And before you say that, brother, let me introduce y'all real quick.
Allow him to introduce us.
Before we get any further, let me introduce these great people that I'm chopping it up with. I got a tri-state hitter. I got another one. He back again. I told him anytime he ready, he can pull up, and he pulled up.
Oh, it's good.
I got a father, a brother. I ain't gonna forget no more. I got a husband. I gotta learn. That's why I got y'all. I gotta learn. I got Baba Tunde.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How you doing, brother?
I'm blessed. sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Like I said, thank you for being here.
Thank you for making time for us.
And then I got his partner in crime.
We don't do crime.
Then I got his twin.
We don't do crimes, y'all.
They don't do crimes. They don't do crimes, but they locked in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got Mrs. Baba Tunde. But
hell yeah.
But
That's right. That's right.
but I say, sister, tell them who you are.
Hell yeah.
Tell them what you do. And tell them if you got any platforms, please shout out your platform. Because the thing about pilot language, and Joe know this, shout out to Joe. If we go anywhere else, them planes gonna get represented.
Right.
Them PLs, I'm gonna be screaming.
New pilot.
So tell them your whole landscape and your foundation, and yes.
Okay. So my name is Mahalia, and I'm married to Baba Tunde. First and foremost, I'm Christian. I
Yes.
believe in God.
Yes.
But I'm not one of those Christians that's like, I don't get caught up in the religion part of it,
Okay.
right? So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you're not supposed to be praying to Allah. God said in his word, I'm the King of kings and Lords of lords. So right there, he's telling you there's others, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you choose, as long as it's peaceful,
You with it.
I'm with it.
Faith based.
Yeah.
That's really what it
Faith,
comes down to.
right.
Faith.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have Instagram, Mahalia Perez. I have Facebook, my name and his name, Mahalia Babatunde.
Yes.
I just do what God tells me to do. Like I don't like labeling myself.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of people be like, "Oh, prophetess, you're a prophetess."
Mm-hmm.
I just do whatever God tells me to do. If he tells me to pray for somebody, I pray for them. If he gives me a word, I give it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like everybody else, just living day to day,
Mhm.
right? And trying to better myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing about marriage is going to show you a lot of things about yourself
Yeah.
that you thought you already had corrected.
Mm.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
Mm.
Even after you get to that point where God can trust you to be married, once you get with that person, you are going to see parts because they're going to point out stuff to you that your kids can't point out to you,
Yeah.
right?
Or you ignore it.
Or maybe your friends might be afraid to.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But once you live with this person, you are going to see parts. I said it before he even came home. You're going to see the best of that person, the highest of that person, and you're going to see the lowest,
Yeah.
right? So, like a lot of my friends call me for advice because they know that I can pray. They know that I can prophesy. I can see things. Sometimes I'm just talking to them and God will start showing me stuff. But, so I'm always there to listen. And I'll ask them, you want my opinion, you want my advice, or you want me to pray? Because they're going to be all different. More than, you know what I mean? They're going to be different. They're going to be different. So that's pretty much what I do. And I work at a shelter that's for men, recovery, which has humbled me a lot. You know what I mean? Just to see different men from different walks of life struggling with the same thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's for different reasons, right? Rich, like extremely rich, limousine pulling up to pick them up. You know what I mean? To people that just went through hell and back from the time they were born, you know, in poverty, abuse, you name it. But like I remind them all the time, at the end of the day, you're still here. It doesn't matter where you come from. You're still here.
You're still breathing.
You know, so that's basically what I do. And then I drive my husband crazy.
Podcast coming soon. The name of our podcast is Falling in God's Love.
I like that. But now I get to know, and now we know these righteous people. Back to my question though, brother. What made you decide that, you know what, I can't marry this person?
Because I wasn't looking for a wife.
Mm.
I was, at that time, relationship was the furthest thing from my mind. I was in the midst of my own relationship with God. And I was finding myself. I was figuring myself out. And You know, I was still entertaining other people that would write me and, you know, staying in contact with me because I was in jail at that time. And I noticed that I was turned off by the conversation because I couldn't have one with a spiritual base. And I was like, you know, God told me you got to put everything down. Because, you know, in jail, the only thing you have is mail and the phone.
That's it.
That's the only connection to the outside.
Bread and butter.
Yeah, so it was like, I'm trying to walk with him and hold on to that. Like, you know, maybe something might come of this. And it was like, nah, let it all go. And that was a part of me that really had to get cleansed out because I was still, like, I had different females writing me, but I'm asking them the same question. And none of them is trying to hear that. So it's like, I'm not getting anywhere with this. So I just was like, you know what, I'm straight. I stopped answering letters. I stopped calling people. I got focused on me. And I got focused on God. And so that was my relationship. And it became my most important relationship. And it was intentional and it was genuine. Like, I wasn't in there looking for a coping mechanism. Because, you know, people in jail, they usually go to church because that's where they can get some love out of somebody. You know, they can get some attention. Someone's gonna acknowledge them. That wasn't what I was doing. I really was focused on God and what our relationship with Him and what I was supposed to be doing, as opposed to what I was wanting to do. So that means putting the females down, and I put them down. Like, I was really done. Like, I'm good. I don't until whatever is supposed to be comes. I'm straight on this, and like I said, I wasn't looking for no wife. It was a while of just me and God. And just, you know, I don't know why, but I asked my mom, I was like, yo, you got any, like, Christian girls in your church? Like, I thought I was ready for communication. I think now I can have a conversation with someone, but I didn't want anything of it. I just wanted the conversation. Because you get tired of talking to dudes all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, I'm talking to my cousin and no, but
That's
it's not the
real life.
same. I want to have a conversation, and I was seriously not looking for anything of it other than a conversation. So she was like, yeah, I got a couple girls in church. She was like, I'm gonna ask Sister Mahalia. So I'm like, all right, cool, ask her. Yeah, so she asked her, and she told me, she was like, no at first.
You parked that car.
but then, you know, God told her, you better write that, man. But she didn't write me. That's the whole thing. She told my mother that I could write her. So I wrote her a letter. And I made it clear, like, yo, I don't want nothing.
Yeah.
Because I know people throw that game at them, but they're really trying. I'm like, no, I really don't want anything more than a conversation. And it was like, she didn't respond. It took her a few to get back at me. And I was cool. I'm like, whatever. It is what it is. Like, all right, whatever God has for me, the conversation I'm trying to have, it'll come.
Yeah.
I know it'll be made manifest. So I wasn't stressed. I wasn't tripping on that. And then I got the letter. And I'm reading it. I'm like, oh. And there's a thing about Adam's rib.
Okay.
God made a woman from a man. So you're going to recognize yourself when you see it.
Yeah.
Or at least you're going to feel some familiarity. So I'm reading it and I'm like, the heck, what's going on here? And this is just the first letter. I'm just like, wow. All right. This is the conversation I've been looking for. So I'm like, all right, wrote back. Again, she took her time responding to that one, but I was cool because I kept reading the first one. I'm like, yo, I like this. Who the heck is she, man? And then we started corresponding and talking, and it was like, and even then, still, marriage, that's not anywhere in the picture.
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying being able to have this conversation with somebody. But then we started going, through, just like, yo, I know this, I'm from here, this and that, da, 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 da. It's like, wow, we would literally be in the same place. And I don't know this person. Didn't know her. Didn't know of her, nothing. So it's like, and Providence is so small. It's like, how do you not know someone?
This person.
It's like that.
Yeah.
And to me, to never have crossed her path, like never heard her name, none of that, I'm like, okay, God, why you keep this person from me? So again, we just corresponded. The conversation was getting more in depth. And I'm like, yo, there's something more to this. And like I said, I'm like, first of all, it's too much in common. Like, she's like me, but she's not like me. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm seeing myself in her, certain attitudes and responses to things, and I'm like, wow, this is.
So what made you change your mind?
His mother kept announcing it, because she didn't just come to me that first time. she would like ask, like, oh, my son wants a woman to write her. He wants a godly woman to write her. She kept saying, can somebody write my son? I heard it, but I ignored it because at that time in my life, I was very deep embedded in God. You know, I was single for already 4 years. I had already went through some crazy stuff with my ex-boyfriend, and I had vowed to God, like, all right, God, unless you tell me this man is the one, I will never entertain another man again, right? Because God was telling me to leave my ex. And so when I did decide to leave him, like, all hell broke loose. He wasn't trying to hear it. Went through some crazy stuff, and it was like, all right, unless you tell me the next dude is my husband, I'm not gonna go there. So I was okay with being single, right? Because same thing with marriage. I didn't see a healthy marriage growing up. So I never wanted to be married. You know what I'm saying? I was okay with I was okay with just being a baby's mother, because if I get tired of you or you act crazy, I can leave you. Right?
Yeah.
A marriage, I've seen women go through hell and back trying to get out of marriages that they were not happy with, and just crazy. So I never grew up seeing a marriage where I was like, oh, I want a marriage like that. Or to even be like, oh, it's possible to have a good marriage. So I wasn't thinking about marriage either. When I gave myself to God, I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna be single until you say this is, you know what I mean?
The person. So she started asking in general in the church, like, oh, my son is in jail, but he wants a godly woman to write, da-da-da-da. I ignored it. She did it like a good 3 times. No, she did like a good 3 times, probably like a good 3-month span. Okay.
And one day I went home after church, just a regular day, and I'm praying, and God was like, that lady's been asking for you to write her son. I'm like, no, she didn't ask me. She didn't. You know what I mean? God said, you're gonna write him. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? Because I dated drug dealers. I dated dudes that went to jail. Like, I didn't want nothing to do with, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't worried of whether he was guilty or not. I didn't want to be bothered with anything that was associated with, you know what I'm saying? Street life, anything. I'm like, even if he was in it, I don't want to hear it. So, I was like, all right. So I literally told God, I said, okay, well, she has to come up to me directly and said, I need you to write my son.
Nice.
That following Sunday, I didn't even get through the door. She was like, hell yeah, I need you to write my son. And I started laughing. I'm like, all right, after church, I'll give you my address. Sure enough, she gave me the address. I gave her the address and everything. And he wrote me the first time, and I just kind of read over, and it was like, oh, okay. And I didn't think much of it. You know what I mean? I just kind of put it down. And the Holy Spirit convicted me. He goes like, that dude wrote you, and you're not writing him. What are you doing? And I'm like, okay. I wrote him back. He wrote me a couple of letters. I kind of ran through it. You read through something, but you don't really sit down. And I was like, all right, whatever. Then, minding my business one day, God said, this man has been writing you, and you're not paying attention. And I'm like, okay. So one day I stayed home one day, Saturday, and just started reading through the letters. And he was prophesying to me about things that I was going through at that moment. And then he had scriptures to back up what he was saying. So I would look up the scriptures, and I'm like, oh, wow. You know what I'm saying? And I started laughing. Because I'm like, okay, now I see why the Holy Spirit was convicting me. Because it's like, this dude is not just writing anything. Pay attention. So I was like, okay. So that's what actually got my attention. When I actually sat down and read it, and there's scriptures backing up what he was saying to me. I don't even think that he knew, but it was stuff that I was going through at that moment in my life. I could relate, and the scriptures was backing it up. Like, literally, I would read the scripture, and the God would tell me 2 days prior, look up this scripture, and it would be 4 of the scriptures that he had in the letter. So that's when I started to be like, all right, who's this dude? You know what I'm saying? Who's this guy? Because around that time, you know, there were other dudes, there were bishops and pastors that was coming to the church, and they were being respectful. They would ask my pastor, like, oh, can I talk to her? Is she single? So they were doing it the right way. But God would tell me, that's not your husband. Because I did say to him, unless you tell me that's my husband, I don't even want to entertain him.
Yeah, that's fact.
You know, because I went through much drama with my ex. And to prove to him that I didn't want to be with him, I went to entertain somebody else. And then I had literally 2 people trying to kill me. Like, they both wanted to kill me. And I was like, you know. So after that, I was like, all right, unless you tell me that's my husband, I won't even entertain the dude. I don't care if it's a pastor, bishop. I don't care what it is. So he wasn't saying anything about him. But it was like, slowly but surely, it was like, I want you to talk to this person. This is the only person he was putting before me. So that's how it really started. He was prophesying to me in the letters. He was backing it up with scripture. And there was confirmation for things that God was telling me. And whatever he was writing, I was going through it.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what got my attention. And I was like, okay. That's when the letters really started coming back and forth. But like him, I wasn't looking for a relationship either. You know what I mean? I just figured, okay, I found a good pen pal. Oh, I found somebody that is actually Holy Spirit filled. Because like he said, a lot of guys go to jail and now they know God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then they come home and you're like, what happened to
It's a whole new person.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I was just like, oh, okay, I found a friend. You know what I mean? I still wasn't looking at him like, oh, this might be the dude. That was nowhere near. We wrote each other for like a year?
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost a year.
So how important is it to be spiritual when you searching for this path to be married?
Extremely.
That's the most important part.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If
Because
you
like
don't
I
have
said,
that,
my
you're not.
spirit was familiar with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know what was going on, but my spirit was drawn to everything she said. Like, it was spiritually attracted, put it that way. I didn't understand it. Because like she said, I'm not looking. But there's something special here that I'm not really.
You can't let go.
You
of
can't
it.
see it naturally.
And you can't let go of it.
So you have to be spiritually minded, because that's the only way. When people say soulmate, you really saying spirit mate. That's the thing that's going to connect you. Your soul is going to recognize itself. I see me in her, even though we are different. We are very different in a lot of ways, but we are very similar in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing that was catching my attention. That's why, like she said, I'm like, God, what's up with her? I'm like, this is different, because I never felt like that about anyone. There were people who I would say I loved, but I liked them a lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't really love, because I didn't know how to do that. I knew how to love my kids. I knew how to love my parents. I love my sisters. I love me. I didn't know how to love an opposite sex.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do that. I didn't think it was real.
Mm.
I was drawn to her just based on letters and the conversations we were having. And I never experienced that before in my life.
Yeah.
So I knew there was something different there. And like she said, I'm only thinking, wow, I got a real friend here. And someone who I could build with in this way. Whereas I couldn't get that with people who I was trying to draw into it. Like, it's like, I changed, but you're not allowing me to change. So I'm going to show you my change and hope that you will get, just as attracted to that. They weren't. They wanted old me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so you want the treater, manipulator, and the I don't give a dude. You want him still. I'm not him anymore. So not being him anymore, I had to get something that I never had before. That's when God brought her into my life. But the key to it was I wasn't looking. How many times are we out planting trees and one of us would find some money? We out there planting trees. Ain't nobody think about finding money, but there's money on the ground.
There's money waiting. There's money waiting.
We weren't looking for it.
Nope.
That's the blessing in it. That's why you felt so good when you find it. But oh shoot, God looking out for me. Could be $1, could have been good, but we found money. Not looking for it though.
But it's tricky though, because if you think about it, I'm 34 years old. Mm-hmm. So you think about people who's 34 and younger, they might not be so spiritual. And then you think about what we see on media. We got like things like Zeus. That's what I call TV. We got the baddies. We got so many like this. Yeah, we got so many distractions. We got the BBLs. We got so many crazy things. Being hot girl summer. It's so many things that provoke you away from that type of status of being married.
You have to focus yourself, and it's on you. It ain't on the world. Is going to be the world at all times.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to discern that this is not
for me.
real.
Oh, this ain't for me.
This is a show. This is nothing but to distract me from what is really meant for me. Because who was meant to go get a BBL? Seriously, who's meant to do that? But you see that so much now, it's the norm.
Yeah.
And we as men, we like, yo, I like that. Yo, she. I'm like, but hold up, what was she like before that?
Yeah.
She wasn't. It's the same person. She just got some additives put on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know her, or do you just want the BBL? And my thing, even back when I was in my nonsense, I always wanted to know the person, and they could never give me that. That's why I was like, all right, cool. I was the one who would ask questions. I always was like inquisitive about, yo, you. Tell me about you. A lot of people couldn't do that. So then I'm like, all right, this is what it is. This is simply a physical thing. And that's what we're going to get there. Very few could have that conversation with me. And even from jail, it's like, I can't be physical with you. I can't. Even in that limited visit, I can only do so much. So now, I can only give you me. Can you give me you? And a lot of people didn't know how to do that. She gave me her without realizing she was giving so much up. And it was just, like I said, just a conversation. But again, it was spirit-based. We weren't on the attraction thing. I didn't know what she looked like yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I didn't send him a picture right away either.
Yeah, it was just a conversation. And in that conversation, I was falling in love.
How do you think, because, you know, the same question, us being young and then having so many distractions and, you know, the norm. When I first came home, you know, my pops, he picked me up from Baltimore. So he brought me to, you know, up here and whatnot. And we navigate, and he's talking about marriage. And he's basically telling me, like, yo, if you want to make that commitment, or if you want to step into that fashion, she has to be religious. Because basically the way the females moving out here, it's not. I got locked up when I was 23 in 2003. I came home, 2020, so I missed a lot. So, he was just putting me on game. Yeah. And then I remember the first app I had on my phone was Zeus. Yeah. And everything I'm seeing on Zeus is just like, dang, that's how they out here wild.
All right, hold up. I'm lost here. What is Zeus? I don't do social media.
Yeah, Zeus is like Zeus is like an entertainment app. It do like TV shows, but it's like, all right, you know how you had the channel E back in the day, and they had like the Kardashians and the Bad Girls Club, but they had other shows involved. So like, all right, you can tune in at this time, but it's gonna be other things going on. Zeus is all day. All day loving hip hop, all day Bad Girls Club, all day keeping up with Kardashians, all day out here, like you said, with the lips as big as my fist under your nose. It is so many things like that, like you said, these distractions, these fake things that's pulling away from identity, from yourself. Well, I believe when you come into a marriage, you're going strictly into yourself and you're sharing that with another person. I got a cousin right now that's 19 years old, and he gave up on getting married or getting serious with a female.
They have a lot of young boys. It's sad because my youngest is 23, and he said it. He's like, well, I don't know. And I told him, well, you are not going to meet that person until you give yourself to God, because God is going to show you parts of you that you don't see. You think you see, but you don't, right? Until you learn to humble yourself and submit yourself to God, you're not gonna know. You're not even gonna know the beginning of submitting to another person or sharing your life with another person, right? That's like, I literally had to submit to God when he told me to write him, because I didn't want to be bothered. I wasn't thinking nothing bad of it. I just didn't want to be bothered. You know what I mean? So I told him, you are going to have to give yourself to God fully for him to show you yourself, fix the places that in you that you think might be okay, but they're not, right? And then when you're in that place where you're that in love with God, because you're going to fall in love with God. If you really have a real connect, you're going to fall in love with him. Then you can put inquiries, or he will see it fit. Because leave it to my flesh, I would have never thought that I would be married to somebody back home. Because like I said, Providence is very small. Yeah. Everybody sleeps with everybody. Yeah. Right? And I never liked that. Not that I thought that dudes out of state wasn't sleeping around. I just don't like that. If I start talking to you, you already don't have like 4 of my friends. You see what I'm saying? Literally a cesspool. So it was like, I always dated guys out of state. And when I pictured my husband in my head, even after I got saved, I was like, he must be down south somewhere or in another country. I wasn't thinking that it would be somebody from
right
Providence.
Next door. Yeah, Providence.
That was well known, even though I never heard his name, and we both have odd names. We know a lot of the same people, but I never heard of him. I never heard of his name. He never heard of me. But God knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because the person he was then, God would have never been able to talk to me about him now. If I would have met him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he probably wouldn't like me because he thinks my mouth can get crazy. Now, my mouth was real crazy when I was younger. Like, my mouth, you know, me and my friends laugh about it now. They be like, remember the time you said this to so-and-so? And I'm like, oh, God.
Oh,
you know?
Oh, snap.
So we either would have just been like, oh, he's cool, like I did with every dude out there. I was just cool with them, right? Or I would have been like, he slept around, he got around, he had kids. Different, you know, a good amount of kids, and it was like, nah. So God knew what he was doing when he kept us away from each other. Mm-hmm. And to me, that was, I think God was just showing me, like, when the time is right. There's a scripture that God says, when the time is right, I will do it.
Yeah. Because
why didn't I meet this dude or at least hear about him back then? That's crazy.
Especially that Providence.
That didn't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? And how do I meet him? Because when I decided to give myself to God and go to a church, I was going to go back to an old church. God said, no, call your friend and tell her to have her pastor pick you up. And it was his mother's church. Then, mind you, the church was closing down. But for some odd reason, me and his mother got really close. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would take her to go grocery shopping. I like to eat, so she'd be like, you want to go out to eat? Yeah, I'm coming. So before he even came into the picture, me and her was already getting close. So when you look back, God was already setting it up. We just didn't know.
That's a fact.
You know? It was in my spirit. As much as I was opposed to me getting married, I would say all the time, I'm going to marry somebody out of my mother's church. Mm-hmm. Not knowing that it was really going to happen. It was just if it happens, she's coming out of my mother's church. And that's what God had put in my spirit. Yeah. And I was like, nah.
Yeah, people would tell me that in the church. They was like, you're going to meet your husband in this church. And I was like, I don't know how, because it's predominantly women here. You know what I mean? But people would tell me. Like, a couple of my friends and even the prophet told me, he was like, you're going to meet your husband through this church. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't out of state prison, so technically I wasn't in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rhode Island, though. Shout out to Providence. Shout out to my converting.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to them.
But, yeah, so, and you know, yeah, and then God talking to me one day. God was talking to me one day. He told me, I want you to be married one day. I don't want you to be nobody's girlfriend. I don't want you to be single.
Yeah.
It's not good for men to be alone. He threw that scripture out there to me. And he's like, you're not going to just be a baby's mother. You're going to be somebody's wife.
Nice.
And I said, God, like, you know how I am. I'm not, at this point, I'm not even worried about who, you know what I mean? I was like, God, you know how I am. Like, please let this dude let him really be disciplined and focused on you. Like, I don't want no phoning. Because people pretend, well, there's a lot of people in church now that you're like, ain't no way you got a relationship with God.
The way they're moving.
Yeah, this is just something you're doing religiously, definitely. There's no way you have a relationship with God. But, and then he told me, literally, he said to me, write a list of what you don't want in him. And write a list of what you do want in him. And I did. And he told me, pray over that list every day. And I was like, so you really gonna have me get married? Like, this is my, cause, you know, because God will talk back to you. You know?
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, you're not gonna be a girlfriend. You're not gonna be a baby's mother. You're gonna be somebody's wife. My daughter's gonna be somebody's wife. And I said, okay. I don't know how you're gonna do this, but okay.
I think about today's time, and which is a blessing, but at the same time, I think about it that a lot of sisters, they independent. A lot of sisters, they getting on their own for the parent home, this for dudes constantly dropping the ball, constantly getting cheated on. So now they're just strictly independent. And they got a career, they got a path, they're dominant, they're benefiting. By y'all two being married, how can you actively show support on your spouse's career or personal goals in a fashionable way? Because, sometimes people do passive aggressive. Sometimes people, like you were saying earlier, they envy. They
Yeah.
show love, but they really envy behind the closed
Right.
door.
Right.
So how can we like and properly, support somebody on their career or personal goals?
I personally would say that you have to know where that person is mentally and emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I can support him in a way that he might not think is support, right? I can support him in a way where it's like, for one, I'm praying for him, right? That
Right.
God open up doors for him that nobody else can claim and say, oh, he got that because of me. And he can come across something and be like, oh, yeah, but he don't know I've been praying for that, right? I can support him in a way where, like, I would say, like, when I moved here, he was still in prison. When they said he had to be released in Connecticut, he couldn't be released back home. I had to move. I had to leave my nice neighborhood, my nice, he knows, because he's heard this a million times, even in arguments, right? I had to leave my nice, huge, big Victorian apartment, 3-bedroom in a beautiful neighborhood to come live here, because it was like time was cutting down, and I had to empty out my savings.
Oh, wow.
Because it wasn't like, oh, I'm just moving. I had to keep coming up here to look for apartments. I had to keep paying for applications. There was so much that was sacrificed. You understand what I'm saying? Just for him to be home. We're not even talking about when he got home, what else we needed, right? So you can sacrifice a lot for somebody and they not look at it as this is support. You know what I'm saying? Well, this is what you were supposed to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then he can support me in a way where I don't see it as support. So you have to know where that person is emotionally and you have to know where they are mentally. Like they say, you can't love somebody in your love language. You have to love them in their love language. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, he motivates me a lot. He'll bring flyers to me and different things. He'll text me different things, right? That has to do with what I like. Like, I like to draw. Other things that I'm into that he knows that I'll be good at. He'll send me things like that. You know what I'm saying? Or he'll speak for me. He just had a meeting with some people and he's like, oh, my wife does this type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So I think sometimes you can miss it, right? I think sometimes you can miss that you are supporting this person and they look at it like, well, that's what you're supposed to, like your kid. You know what I'm saying? You take care of your kid, you sacrifice for your kid, but your kid will be like, well, you're my mom, you're supposed to.
Who else gonna do it?
You know what I'm saying? But they don't realize how much you're really sacrificing or how much you sacrifice for them to be where they are because they're not the ones that, you know what I mean? So, but he's very supportive. He's verbally, you know what I'm saying? He'll tell me stuff like, I think that you would be good for this or you would be good for that. And sometimes I kind of get aggravated with him because I'm like, don't be too quick to put me like, oh yeah, my wife who did, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, oh, there's certain things I don't want to be.
Yeah.
By the way, although I might be good, he would be like, "Oh, you'll be good for this." So I said this, and I'm like,
"Why did you say that?"
Why
are you speaking for me?
right. And I'm looking at him like, "Yeah, but I'm not trying to deal with that."
Yeah.
So I think he shows his support more than I show him. You know what I mean? I'm starting to realize that.
Oh, nice. So why is that so important to you, Baba? Because I know, just speaking for myself, I know sometimes, like you said, we get in a pattern, right? We get a pattern that I'm showing up, I'm picking up phone calls, I'm spending time with you, I'm taking you out. What more do you want?
Right.
Yeah.
But it comes to a point where, because I feel like females are more emotional intelligent, where it comes to a point where your female, your wife, your companion, she might be like, well, dang, you do show a little bit more. That's something different. So why is it so important for you to tap into that?
Well, because her joy is my joy.
Okay.
And like she said, she's the reason I'm out here. Like, we're both in a place that we're unfamiliar with. So she sacrificed so much for me. Being my wife, first of all, the way we got married in prison, all these things. I know none of this was in her grand scheme of things. Connecticut was not in we wasn't even talking about Connecticut. We were going to North Carolina as far as I was concerned. But my thing is, she gave up so much for me. I want her to be comfortable in a space that she's not comfortable in. But also, I take interest in her interests. So if she says, like, even in letters, she would tell me things and I'd be like, okay, I put that in my mental Rolodex and I look for it. So when I come across her, I'm like, oh baby, look. And like she said, she'd be like, I don't know. I'll be like, all right, next thing. So it's really just her interests become my interests, and we don't share the same interests. But
All the time.
I want what she wants for herself, the way God wants good for me. So I'm the figurehead. I'm Godhead in the house. So I'm the one who's supposed to make sure my wife has what she needs, but not just monetary, not physically, but first spiritually, and then everything else comes after that. So I want to be connected to her in that way. So even if her interest is not my interest, I make it my interest. So now I'm looking at things that I didn't look at before.
True.
I'm looking for things that don't apply to me, but they apply to her.
Yep.
This is my wife. So my wife is always at the forefront of my mind. So things will catch my attention. I'll be like, oh, my wife. So that's why when I'll be in a meeting, I'll be like, oh, my wife. I can't help it now. It's just, it's my way of being now. This is my wife. So I want her to be in a place where she's not in discontent, not uncomfortable. And any way that I can alleviate that, I search that out. I want her to be doing what she wants to do. Like for Adam, she has a creative mind. I have a creative mind, but I'm not interested in being the artist anymore. But she is. So like when we went to Next Haven, all I thought about was her and my son. But I'm like, okay, we in an art space. She has to love this. I'm trying to figure out how I can get her up in here. So I'm at the desk asking questions, grabbing cards, flying. Here, baby, look. So I can't. Like I said, the conversation I had. When you become a husband, there's a certain responsibility you have with that. She's my responsibility. I call her Boon Mi, and that's my gift in Yoruba, and that's what it is. I'm treating my gift like a gift. God blessed me with her. I didn't seek her out. He placed her in my hands. So anything God has given me, I better make sure I take care of that.
True indeed.
So I'm treating that like this is the most precious thing I have. So I have to do these things to make sure she's in a good place, because her good place is my good place. And that's why it's so important. And I don't think people tap into that. I think they're so stuck in attraction that they think that's enough. Attraction and affection is not love. That's like the surface, and it's the easiest part of it. I can easily be attracted to you. It's not like you.
So let me ask you a question real quick, Baba.
Yes, sir.
Take us in the mindset in that moment when you realize that, like the sister was highlighting earlier, she's going back and forth finding apartments. She's going back and forth paying for new, applications for apartments. And now you're seeing like, yo, this is for real. Because I'm not going to lie. Usually when we write somebody, it fades off. I remember writing people, and I had a good little season. And then I can notice certain things where they about to drop off. And they done promised me the world. That first letter,
That's what they do.
they gonna hold me down. They love me. I'm the realest. I'm getting commissary. She picking up on the first ring, and then
Then she ain't picking up. And then it's a change of number. Or
and then it's just blank. So when you seen that, yo, what I'm writing and what she telling me and what I'm saying, it's for real. And now you seeing she doing this, how did that make you feel?
Scared. I was scared because now it was that much more realer.
Yeah.
Like in jail, I'm wearing a ring. I got my wife. I'm calling my wife. She's like the only person I really communicate with other than my mother and my cousin down south. So it's like, yeah, I got a wife, But when this all started taking place, like, oh, this is much more realer now. I'm about to walk into my husbandry.
Yeah.
And I was scared. Cause I've never been a husband. I've never been faithful.
Yeah.
On top of that, so like there's a whole bunch of nevers that have never been with this type of thing. So fear, really, and the biggest thing, I was scared to fail. That's what it was. I'm scared to fail her, but I'm more scared to fail God.
Yeah.
Because I made a commitment that I never fathomed that I could make. But it's embedded in me to do so. Like, I don't feel that fear that I felt when I came home. Because, there's nothing like me being able to reach over and touch her. It's like I said, it's so when you align with God and you allow Him to build you in your relationship, it's so much different. It's not like I'm laying next to Shorty and I'm squeezing her butt or whatever. It's not that.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I could just touch her arm, and I'm like,
oh.
yeah. But the first thing, like every day, I'm like, this is my wife. I come home to my wife. My wife texts me. Like it does something to me no matter how many times I say it. Just saying my wife. First of all, she's mine, but she's my wife. So that's why I was scared to death. So now that I'm taking into account of what I'm actually doing, it's like, yeah, this is what being a man. This is being a man. This is what it's about. And now I see why you would see those shows or some where they had the family and the man would just sit down and be like, because it's hard work.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like when I go to work over there, doing the construction. I'm tired as I don't know what when I come home. But when I'm there, I'm all in. Because I'm enjoying. I like what I'm doing. It might hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
It stings sometimes. I'm going to work and I could barely walk one time. I'm like, but I'm going to work. That's something I've never done. Me going to work was getting some work.
Yeah.
So it's just totally different. Like, I don't have to look behind me, but I'm in a shared space with someone that I can only see me in this space. Like, to even consider like anything else would go black. Like, I even dream about us. That's what's crazy. I dream about us doing stuff or just being in a conversation. Those are my dreams now. Like, she's always in them. That's weird. It's weird, but I know that's God putting us together because I can't dream about no one else. She's the only person I see. So she's the only person I feel. That's why I said, when I just reach over, sometimes I'm, you know how you in that semi-conscious state when you sleep?
Yeah.
And you just reach out. I'm like, okay, I can go back to sleep now. She's still there. So it's definitely fair when I came home, stepping into this. And I don't care who you are, if you for real with it, if your relationship with God is real, and then if you say you love this person the way you love God, 'cause that's what He said. He told me to love her the way I love him.
Yeah.
Like, that's His. So to mishandle that, scared to death. Scared to death. And she did all this for me. Oh man.
Yeah.
Man,
But going back to when you said support is also like, there are times where I don't want to be in places that he has to be at, but I go anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So support is not just like, oh, I can hook you up with the right people. Support is also how you feel. Like, I have body aches. You know what I mean? Doctors don't know where it's from. They're like, oh, car accidents that you had in the past, blah blah blah. And I get up like the pantry that he has. There are times where I'd rather just sit at home. Like, I don't want to go. You know what I mean? But I feel awkward if I don't go with him. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that I'm necessarily doing stuff, because I literally go in and I sit down. And it's him and the guys, they're packing up the food. Like, there's been times where I helped, but because of my body, I'm like, nope, I'll just go. You know what I'm saying? Like, just literally just going with him, that's support. And to somebody from the outside looking in like, oh, girl, that's nothing. But if you knew how my body felt, you know what I'm saying? And I have to be up and, you know what I'm saying? Then you will know what I'm sacrificing. If, you, like, now that people see this, they'll be like, oh, she be having body aches and pain. That's why she be looking like she don't want to be bothered, because I don't. You know what I mean?
So what would be some of the biggest challenges? 'Cause like you said, you in pain. You don't want to move, but you're fighting, for the fact that this is your husband, this is your partner.
Right.
So what would be one of the biggest challenges that you always find yourself, I'm asking both of y'all, that you always find yourself supporting your spouse? Like, how do we overcome this? Because I think about this me sometimes. Like you said, if I'm tired from working all day and doing landscaping.
Right. But you know what pushes me with him? Like, there was a time where I was sick. Like, I really, like, literally, I think he went to work that morning and I was on the couch, and he came home and I was still on the couch, like in the same position, because I couldn't move. My body was aching really bad. And I know he was aching because he comes home, and by the way he's walking, I'm like, I know he's hurting. You know what I mean? But he didn't go home and sit down and was like, well, what are we going to do? He actually cooked and everything, right? He cooked. It wasn't all that, but he cooked.
What did he cook? What did he
made,
cook?
like fries and hot dogs or something. But some of the fries were still cooked, but I'm not.
Oh, carnival.
I don't know.
But the fact that he came home tired, because I know I tell him all the time, like, I know you're tired because I'm tired. And sometimes I literally sat at home all day and did nothing because my body was aching. You know what I mean? So he came home and he took out the trash. Like, I didn't even have to tell him, oh, can you do this? He automatically did it. So at times when I'm sitting at home and I don't feel like going, there's been times where I'm like, I'm not going nowhere with him today. I'm not going to no pantry. But once he's home, I can't. You know what I'm saying? Once he's home, and especially I see him getting ready to go do it. Like, if he can press his way, I can press my way. You know what I mean? So support, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes support, you can get support and not realize that it's support because you don't really know what that person is sacrificing. You know what I mean? And then that's another thing too. And I'm going to say this to you, for when you do meet the one, there are going to be things that you're going to be excited about that to her is like, this ain't nothing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I have to cheer myself up for him because he's excited about something. But to me, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is nothing. But I'm happy because he's happy. You know what I mean? So support comes in different ways. And sometimes you don't catch it. You know what I'm saying? I've had couples tell me, she don't support me, she don't this. And then the girl's like, please, I do this, what do you mean? And I think that happened with us too. One time we got into an argument. We did. And he was like, oh, every time something. I'm like, are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. You have to know where your partner is mentally and emotionally. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you have to turn around and say, well, put the shoe in the other foot. How does it look? You know what I'm saying? Affection to him might be like he said, he just reaches over and touches me, and that's affection to him. Depending on how I grew up, affection to me is not just, oh, rubbing my leg. Attention is hugging me, telling me I love you. You know what I'm saying? And going to buy me something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yes.
You have to know that person's love language. You have to know what they consider support. Well, this is what a marriage is about. You see things from a different angle. You're forced to see things from a different angle, even if you don't want to. Because there are times where I have to sit down and say, okay, Mahalia, this isn't a boyfriend. God gave you because God has convicted me and chastised me about him a lot. This ain't no boyfriend. This ain't some dude you met at the club. This ain't none of your baby daddies either. I gave you this man. You know what I'm saying? There's been times where God checked me. Yeah. And I'm like, well, are you checking him? You know what I'm saying? Because we're not perfect. Even when you do meet that person, you're still not there. Yeah. You get to a certain place with God, he puts y'all together, and now you guys have to grow at that level. And it's new things because you've never been married before.
But what makes that, because, a boyfriend, I feel like a boyfriend or girlfriend is a commitment. This is, just like marriage is a commitment. So what kind of makes the barrier between, like, no, this is for real and this is, this is serious? Because everybody would tell you that they're spiritual. Everybody tell you that, they believe in something and they got the crystals or they're praying. But a lot of people, to your point, they'll separate the title boyfriend and girlfriend. Even my mama broke it down to me. So it's like, what is?
I always knew that a man knows his wife when he sees her. For some reason, I always knew that from a kid. You know what I'm saying? That's why I would tell my friends, like, y'all do too much for boyfriends. And then by the time, if you meet your husband, you're already burnt out. Right? Yeah. So oftentimes you don't even see your husband because you don't give so much of yourself. And I'm not just talking sexually. Like, I know so many girls that like, oh, I helped him get a car. I helped him get up his credit. I helped him do this. And I was young listening like, you do that for a boyfriend? Like, you're bugging. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't learn to actually have that relationship with God, trust me, you're not going to know how to have that relationship with your husband or your wife. You're not. There's just certain things that God's going to put you in your place about. But if you don't have that close relationship to hear him, you're gonna totally miss it. And this is why people can't see who is for them. You don't even have a relationship with God. There's a place that you don't even know yourself. You know yourself physically, right? I'm raw. This is how I look. I got dreads. I dress a certain way. I like this type of music. I'm a father. I'm a good father. But when you go to God, right? He's gonna show you some things that you're like,
about them layers, there
were times where I went to God about him, like, you better talk to that, and God will start showing me where I was wrong, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So until you learn to literally humble yourself to God, somebody that you don't see physically, right? When you don't learn to be in that quiet place by yourself to really hear, right, and understand who God really is, you're not going to be able to see a person and be like, okay, I understand you. I don't care how understanding you are, because leave it to my friends. They think I'm not a judgmental person, but ask him that, he's going to be like, yeah, okay. You see what I'm saying? So my grandmother always said, you don't know somebody until you actually live with them.
That's true.
You know what I mean? We wasn't dating. He came straight from prison. So we were kind of strangers in a way with each other. Although even my son said it, he's like, Ma, like he was worried. You know what I'm saying? He was like, but if I was a stranger out on the outside looking in, I would have thought you guys lived together all your life. He said, even the way I see y'all move, like we don't really include him in anything. We get up, we get dressed, we talk about what we're going to do that day. We're going to the store, we're going here, we're going to go run errands. We'll just be like, we'll be back. We don't really, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, for my son to say that, right, that meant a lot to me, because that means that I'm not the only one seeing what I see in him, right? Others see it too. You know what I mean? So, but like my son says it, he'll say it right in front of me. He'll be like, oh, you know how lucky you would have somebody. Yeah, but dude, I had to be 5 years single and then still 13 years celibate because I did the last 9 years of his bid with him.
Nice.
I sacrificed a lot to be with him. You know what I mean? So my son's like, oh, you don't know? I should be ripping what I sow. You know what I'm saying? But right now, you need to worry about getting a job and doing whatever. And this is what I told him. No, you have to build your relationship with God. I don't care how much you pray to him. I don't care how much you talk to him. There's levels.
Yes, it is.
Even in marriage, there's levels. Like now, I never thought that I'm the girl that would break up with a dude at a heartbeat. If you said something I didn't like, I wouldn't even explain it to you. I would just cut you dry, block you, everything. You didn't know why. I didn't care. I never thought that I would be with somebody to the point where now I can't even take naps if he's not there. Right? For the past 3 weeks, I've been complaining. I was trying to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I was trying to take a nap, and I was so uneasy. And I'm like, God, what's going on? Soon as he comes home, I knock out.
KO.
Yeah.
Any relationship with a contingency plan. Whereas we was reading the other day, God said the only reason you separate from a marriage is adultery or death.
Yep.
So understand what you're entering into. And you should see every relationship like that. If you're going to be in a relationship with the opposite sex, you should be seeking that person who you're going to spend your life with. Even the relationship itself, which is courting someone. That's what it's supposed to be. That boyfriend and girlfriend. Y'all become boyfriend and girlfriend because y'all are serious about where you're going. At least that's how it used to be. That's the only thing I saw on TV, you know.
Yeah, of course.
It was never nothing I lived, but that's what it was meant to be. A courting stage until you got married. And that only reason you were courting so long is because you were making sure that y'all were equally yoked. That is not even spoke about. It's not taught. Parents are not giving that to their children. And I think the dynamic is because there's so many single mothers, absentee fathers. And like she said, she never saw a healthy marriage. I never saw a healthy marriage. I never saw a good relationship. I didn't trust anyone.
Me neither.
She's the only woman I ever trusted in my life. I don't think nothing about her when she leave the house. Other than, where you going? But I don't even ask that half the time. She'll come home and tell me. I'm like, word, you left? No, no thought to it. If I'm at work, I'm not worried about, somebody sneaking in or whatever. None of these things cross my mind. But be it back in the day, I ain't trust nobody. That's exactly what they were doing. They may not have been, but that's where my head was, because this is all I see. All I've seen was dysfunction as far as the male-female relationship. And it's still, I think it's even worse now because there's no respect in it. There's no sense of responsibility. People don't care enough to say, I'm going to commit to this and stay there. That's too hard.
Women are too easy nowadays.
That too.
There's no.
It's like, make me wait.
No, there's none of that. Like he said, all these, especially this new generation, they will influence so much from social media, right? Especially with the whole rap videos. Yep. That's really where it started, right? Every rapper's rapping about a bad B with a big butt and long weave. women are like, oh, this is what they like. So I'm going to start acting like the woman there. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're attracted to. Not realizing that these rappers are going home to regular 9-to-5 women that look nothing like the video vixen. Right? But what do they have it to compare to?
Exactly.
Other than a single mom that's never home because she's working 3 jobs.
Let her cook.
So this is what's influencing your kids. This is what's raising your kids. Right? Just like the games. Right? We see it over and over again how some of these kids are starting to act crazy the second they can't have access to their game, you know, or even their phone. You know what I'm saying? They start losing their mind because people are allowing this to fully influence their children. TV, even me growing up, BET, MTV, MTV, that was my companion because I used to be home a lot because my mother was working 2 jobs. And my older sisters were out doing whatever they wanted to do. So 7-year-old Mahalia was always home doing her homework and listening to music. That was my company. But look at what these kids, they have access to everything, porn, everything right on their phone.
Exactly.
So you're at work. It's not that you're a bad parent. You're at work. But this is what's raising your child. You know what I'm saying? And how often does this parent have not just physical contact being around the house, but how much are you sitting down with this child to even see where your child's mind is?
What are the steps we can take to get closer to a point where we can look at somebody outside ourselves? Because like you said, they said when COVID hit, when they couldn't go outside, when they couldn't go to the strip club, they was on OnlyFans. Yeah, they was on these porn sites. Yeah, you had people that's trying to be an entrepreneur, but they're going about it all in the most craziest ways.
Yep, the easiest way and the craziest ways. Yep.
So, like, how can we get to a point now where we're going back into a balance of looking at somebody's emotions and supporting somebody's emotions outside ourselves? Because, like you said, you think about it now, it's better to be like, F a dude, forget a dude, I got my own bag, I don't need you.
And social media, you get to meet all types of people from even a whole other country, even a whole... You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're just an average girl and you take one nice picture, if you walk out of your neighborhood, there's maybe 3 dudes on your block that's like, oh, you look cute. And you got dudes texting you, inboxing you from New York all the way to Cali, all the way from a whole nother country. You know what I'm saying? So the access to different people and different distractions, the person for you could be sitting right in front of you, but you have all these other distractions going on. Because you have more choices. And that's the problem. Like I said, and women are too easy. I know somebody's like, oh, no, I'm a woman. Women are too easy nowadays. Way too easy. Because even with my husband, even with him, I have boundaries. And that's my husband. You know what I mean? I couldn't tell you how many times dudes will send me, like, videos. And, like, I used to work with this young boy. He's, like, your age. Tall, very handsome boy. I kid you not, the first day he was there for half an hour just to be trained on the computer. He came in the next day, he did 5 hours. That was a Wednesday. By Friday, half of the girls in that company were texting him, inboxing him, their private parts, their breast, flirting with him, and 90% of them were in relationships. That's crazy. This dude just walked into the building, literally. Y'all didn't even wait to see if he looked at you, if he liked you, if he was attracted. You didn't even know if he was gay or not. Automatically, all of y'all are just going after him. Now, when he sleeps with all of y'all, because you see all of y'all are easy, y'all are going to call him a dog. But who was really being a dog? And this is what you see over and over and over again. Like women would say on social media, oh, men aren't obsessed with women anymore. Why would they be? Y'all made it too easy. You want to see booty, just go on the internet. Somebody's going to be showing their butt.
Yeah.
And increases and everything else that, things that they, you know what I mean? Yeah, woman, I'm being modest anymore. Like, preserve yourself for something.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the one who's like, no, like, you got to get to know me, which is why I would ask questions. And they be like, why you ask so many questions? Oh, you playing games. I'm like, playing games? All right, so we'll get right to it then. That's what you think of yourself. When I'm actually trying to give you a chance to be like,
somebody.
Well, wait. I'm worth more than that.
Right.
And ever since then, this is back in the 90s, it's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
Females have lost respect for themselves. They think that what they're supposed to do, they think they flipped it on men.
But
They think, they're being men. Nah, you're not doing that because this has always been a thing. Y'all are just more bold with it now.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
everywhere.
it's in your face and it's acceptable. Whereas before, they were taught to make a man wait. Who's teaching them though? So even when they see that one, oh, she's a lame. She's a square. Oh, you not giving, oh, you ain't do nothing. He likes you. He ain't buy you nothing. He ain't this. It's all these other things. Did he get to know you? That's the first thing they said. Did he ask you about your interests? Like Biggie said, who you be with? Ask me what your interests are. All that. No one's doing that. I don't care what your interests are. I want to know what's going on down there. Can I get some of that? Like, what's that? What's going on? And they like, yeah, you can. Yes. I think Will said something to me about sloppy toppy. I was like, what the heck is that?
Free will.
Well, as the old saying goes, why milk the cow when you can get the milk for free?
Yeah.
Wait on him, because there's going to be times where you're going to be like, oh, is this the one? Is this the one? And you're going to be like, no. Wait on God to actually say to you, because he's going to tell you. Like me and him was writing each other. We thought we was just being pen pals to each other, but it was consistent. I couldn't stop writing him because there was something in those letters that gave me a comfort that no other man was giving me or could give me. God wouldn't even allow another man to get close to me. You know what I mean? So it just kept going until he finally was like, this might sound weird or whatever, but the same day that I got that letter, a friend of mine called me and said to me, I believe that you're going to find out who your husband is really soon. That same day. And I went about my business. I got up, I got dressed, I went in the shower, whatever. And God said, go back to the house and open your mailbox. And I went back and I opened the mail. I saw a letter from him. I read through it a little bit. I got on the road. God said, no. Read the letter. Read it. Because that day I was tired. I was already tired of hearing you're going to meet your husband. Because people kept saying to me, you're going to meet your husband soon. Even strangers. They'll look at me and they'll be like, I know this sounds weird, but you're going to find out who your husband is soon. And I was like, okay. And I got tired of hearing that. I said, God, I'm tired of hearing it. Who is he? I'm getting tired of hearing it. She calls me and she's like, I ain't on no spiritual stuff. Because, you always got that ghetto friend that's like, she's like, I ain't on no spiritual stuff or nothing. But I feel like you're going to find out very soon who your husband is. Like before the week is over, she said. But it was already in the mailbox and I didn't know. So I pulled over on the highway and was like, what is it that he wants me to read in this letter so bad? And then I saw when he was like, I believe you are my wife. He's like, no, as a matter of fact, I know you're my wife. And I was like, oh. Then it made sense to me why I couldn't stop writing him. You know what I'm saying? It was stuff that we could write each other in scriptures, but it was stronger than that. Whatever that bond was, it was stronger than just, okay, this is just my friend. I'm writing him.
But I know I got a couple homegirls that always share, I thought it can change them. Yeah. Or I thought it would change. Yeah. And you think about it in our time frame, we always want to help each other. We trying to come in a better fashion where we're growing together and we can really benefit. But why do you think that we put that challenge on ourselves? We don't even look in the mirror. We don't even want to tap into ourselves and really realize why I keep running to trauma. But we want to help Joe up the street.
Exactly.
Why do you think
you just said it, though. Like, you can't change yourself. You can't stop the things that you shouldn't be doing, the things that are detrimental to you, hurting you, and you just keep on doing it. What makes you think you change this person? Right. Doesn't want to change. Not only that, you haven't given them a reason to change. That was my thing. It was like, you accept my nonsense. Why would I not do it?
Yeah.
I was brutally honest with any chick I was with. Yo, I'm going to do what I want. You can't do nothing. If you do something, I'm out of here. They accepted that. I'm like, you a fool. But hey, you my fool, and I got a few of them. and the thing they could not deny was I didn't lie to them about what I was, what I did, none of that. You accepted it. And to me, I'm looking at them like, y'all are crazy. But that's the thing. You're not changing me. Because I know their hope was that they were going to be the one that I would not do this with anymore. That I would be, she's the one. Mm-hmm. No. If I'm telling you off rip, this is what it is, believe me. Now, if this man is showing or this woman is showing you this is what it is, believe her. You're not changing her. No one changes until they choose to change themselves. And even that takes who knows how long. There's some old people who have just started to change the ways that they've been because they realize, looking back on their life, I wasted so much time being like this. And I'm at so much peace now being like this because they didn't know how to change. I didn't know how to stop selling drugs. That's why God put me down.
Yeah.
I didn't want to sell drugs no more, but I was good at it. I enjoyed it, but I was tired of it. I was tired of having so much emotional baggage dealing with so many females, not realizing that I was tired. I was just like, I need a break. I didn't want that break.
No.
But
No, we don't want that break.
But I realized,
listen,
but it was
a hard head
necessary.
makes us off behind.
Yeah, it was necessary because I found myself in that break, and I realized, like, yo, you couldn't stop yourself. Only God can put it in me to say,
strength.
give me that. And I was like, here, take it. And that's the only way I was released from that, because I was still holding on in certain ways. Like I said, I like drug dealing. I was enjoying the money. I like my lifestyle. I'm like, yo, I'm getting it. I like this. But I don't want to anymore because drug dealing is work. I was tired. I didn't want to deal with everything that came with it. But I was like, yo, how do I stop? All right, this next flip. After this next flip, I'm done.
It always sounds like that.
It
starts like that.
It's like, you know, I'm only going to deal with 3 chicks. Then I see this one, like, oh, all right, I'm going to push her off and put her in. That way I'm still only dealing with 3 chicks. No, ain't nothing ever stopped. That revolving door kept going. It's like, yo, I'm literally exhausted and couldn't understand why I couldn't stop being this way.
But doing the norm and doing what's comfortable, it relaxes the mind. It relaxes the body because it becomes second nature. Yeah. So it's like hearing both of y'all, and I know y'all in tune with yourself and y'all tune with your spirit and body. What kind of because I know for me, when I go into that fashion, when when I'm about to get married and make that decision, I'm gonna have a conversation with myself. Absolutely. I'm gonna have to go to that drawing board. I'm gonna have to really, really like question this and make sure this makes sense.
Ask him how many times we prayed for confirmation.
What conversations did y'all have with yourself though? Before y'all prayed together, before you let each other know, like, yo, we need to get married. What kind of conversations y'all had with yourselves, like, do I really want to do this? Am I ready for this?
I told God, like, I know my personality. I know me, right? And I was like, God, do you really think I can be a wife? You know what I'm saying? Because you could be a good girl, doesn't mean that you are wife material.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could be a good man, doesn't mean that you're husband material. Not yet. If you give yourself to God, though, He'll show you how to be that. Because He's going to humble you every time. Like, there are times, like I said, the old Mahalia wants to come out on him, and God be like, don't you dare. You know what I'm saying? Or literally, that phone will ring, and it'll be one of my friends like, God told me to tell you this. And it'll have to do with what I want to spaz on him about. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, you have to, first, you need time to yourself by yourself. So you can try to learn yourself. And you have to build that relationship with God. You have to.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I got a lot of wisdom today. I got a lot of insight on my journey.
You see why I said she need to be here.
That was a power move, Baba. That was a power move right there. Shout out to Baba.
Yeah, man.
And shout out to the both. I really appreciate y'all coming down here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This
thank
was a
you.
blessing, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your wisdom and insight.
All right.
Anytime y'all want to come back, y'all already know.
Yeah, we
both
don't
of y'all.
Need you. All we need is Joe.
He's pushing.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You can't take him nowhere.
I'm still adjusted.
So when you see me and I have an attitude, you know what?
I'm still adjusted. What you talking about?
This is Powder Language. Thank you for tapping in. Peace.
Yes, peace. God bless.